What's going on, YouTube, Facebook? Welcome back to the channel. What's going on, Camel Shark? Decided to jump on a little early today. Got one thing I want to go. Got one thing I'm going to grab something real quick. What's up, Bulldog Freakazoid? What's up, City Dog West? You guys give me 1 second. I got to grab something. I'm going to clean the screen. I hit the go live button a little early, but we're here, so I'm not going to stop the stream and start it back. So just hang tight, guys. All right. Getting a few people jumping on here, guys. Bear with me. I hit the go live button a little early, so I got to clean the screen. Got a new setup here, so I apologize for the hitting the go live button a little earlier than I intended to. So hopefully this works out better than what we've been seeing, and we'll go from there. So. What's up? Not much here in Cartersville. About to go check out some midget wrestling, micro wrestling. Boy, good night. What's going on, Realistic One? Me too, Camel Shark. Mickey Brady says, "Go Dogs" from Douglas, Georgia, where we love the dogs. Go Dogs and sick 'em. That's right. So, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. I've strained my voice, so I apologize for my voice not being that awesome, but we'll do the best we can here. Milton's with us, so is Ringo. Crank this thing up here so I can see a little better. We're gonna give everybody a few more minutes to jump on here. What's going on, Benjamin? You got me a new coffee cup, man. Kind of digging this thing. So it's a big coffee cup too. Saw that yesterday on sale. I said, yeah, I got to have that. Whoo. Milton is all dog. That's right. Hey, you guys that have jumped in the stream early, go ahead and hit the thumbs up for me. It really helps push it around Facebook. Helps push it around YouTube and the suggested comments, all that good stuff. Woo, my voice. Stationed down in Valdosta, I'm surprised that there isn't many Bulldog fans. Most are FSU fans. Valdosta is kind of a college town. It's kind of interesting that when you go down there, you're not seeing more Dogs fans. Bulldog Freakazoid says, that's what's up. Got a dog coffee mug of my own. Not quite as awesome as that one though. Trust me, when it comes to my UGA apparel, I really don't have anything that's expensive. I just happen to hey, what's going on there, Mr. Bombi? What sports do I watch during the off season? There ain't many. High school is huge in here in Valdosta. High school football is pretty huge all around the state of most of the South, the state of Georgia in particular. Somebody asked a question. Oh, that's my Bulldog apparel. Listen, when y'all see this stuff that I get it on sale. And it's got to be like dramatically on sale. Walked out to check my mail a few months ago. Of course, I had on my dog short. My neighbor was checking his mail too. He had on a Longhorn shirt. It was a stare down. Thanks, sir. I appreciate it. So this coffee cup was on sale at Walmart. This is my water cup. This was on sale at some thrift store we found. My UGA visor was on sale at Academy Sports. It was less than half of what it normally was. This shirt was on sale. What did I buy this shirt at? It was only like $8 or $10. My UGA flag, which I don't have up right now because I don't want the sun to ruin it before the season starts. I think I paid $10 for that. I've got a giant UGA G and circle. Hey, Walmart, man, it's hard to beat Walmart. That I made myself because I couldn't afford to spend $150 or $200 to make it. The tags that I got on the front of my vehicles, those were clearanced out for like $5. Yeah, I never pay retail. The decals and stuff that we've got on the back of our cars, we get those on sale. I think the only thing that I didn't buy on sale, I had window flags, and I was driving around, and I forgot that I had the window flags on, and I rolled the windows down on the back of the car I was driving, and both of my flags fell off. And I turned around, and when I realized it, went back and I found one, but I couldn't find the other one. I bought both of those flags on sale, but then I ended up having to buy the other one retail so that I'd have a matching set. Otherwise, it just would have looked terrible. I'll grab those for you real quick. So these are my window flags. So I had two that looked like this, and I had to buy this one to make them match. So so yeah, I got a little bit of stuff. I don't have as much stuff as I'd like. Hey, what's going on, Benjamin? He said he's AFK. I guess I'll be back in a minute. Florida Jumpman jersey, $120. That's a lot, man. Pine Sol Lemon Scent said, "What's up, dogs?" I have two mock UGA jerseys. I'd love to have a game jersey, but I don't have one of those. I'd probably have to get one that was worn by Big Ben to make it fit, but man, it's tough for me to buy stuff, man. I got family, and we try to buy stuff for them. School's coming up. There's always something coming along, you know. It's so hard to come up with the money for this stuff. Oh, I did buy a shirt that is like NC-17 rated. Rob Big Ben's house. I would not want to get into a potential altercation with that young man. But the jerseys I have, I bought one at a thrift shop. I think I paid $10 for it. It's Nike. It's okay, but it's not a game jersey. You got a Bills outlet near you. They have cheap cost stuff. I go to Ross. I go to Marshall's. We go to Tuesday Morning. We go to, I think there's one place that's called the Home Place or something. It's always places that's got stuff that they've bought wholesale that they've clearanced out. And yeah, I'll buy that stuff, but the risk I take is I got to take my wife with me, and she likes to buy home furnishing stuff. Hey, what's going on, Dwayne? Oh man, I don't know if my voice is gonna make it, y'all, but we're gonna give it a shot. So I got to tell y'all about a little experience I had yesterday. It doesn't have a thing to do with college football, but I almost went to jail. Apparently. 57 hours a day on Facebook. So yesterday, I go up to Little Caesars, pick up some cheap, quick pizzas, and I ordered a deep dish, and it's supposed to be like, you know, this thick, you know, and it's supposed to be like this wide and square, and I got teenagers, man, so it's easy to feed them with that stuff. Plus, it, you know, that way we don't have to cook. It's Friday night. Nobody really feels like doing anything. So place the order online, go up there, story time, and get there, and the lady brings me out the pizza. Say hi to all the Florida players. When I get there, they bring out, they just set it on the counter and they're like, "Here you go." I'm like, I've ordered enough pizza to know, open the box and check it. So I open the box and check it, right? And the pizza is like two of those round pizzas that you get like in the or Tostinos or whatever they call them, like the Hungry Jack pizzas and stuff like this. That's what it looked like. And I wasn't rude. I just said, ma'am, I was like, this is not what I ordered. And she tried to give me some line about how it's new dough and this dough hadn't had time to proof. Lady, I don't speak Pizzanese. I don't. Oh, you gonna make sure that you walk past me so I see that you taking out some boxes, huh? He must want something later. And so I tell the lady, I said, ma'am, I said, this isn't right. I said, this doesn't look anything like the picture you got right there. I was like, I ordered a square pizza. This is a round pizza. I want a square pizza. Man, sir. And she got mad with me because she was busy. He wants tickets to the Notre Dame game. I bet he does. Them tickets are crazy, by the way. Crazy expensive. So anyway, I tell the lady, I said, ma'am, I said, this isn't what I ordered. This isn't even close to what I ordered. Can you just please fix it? Probably thinks the earth is flat. No, she thinks it's square. Because if it's supposed to be round, she gonna think it's square. If it's supposed to be square, she gonna think it's round. So I said, ma'am, I said, this isn't right. And I was trying to have a discussion with her about the pizza situation. Because there's a situation. My pizza over here is not what it's supposed to be. Now, y'all, if it actually would have been thick, I'd have been like, all right, it's a little bit round, no big deal, deal with it, right? Probably graduated from Georgia, listen to Camel Shark. So I told her, I said, ma'am, we got to talk about this. And she said, I don't have time to deal with you. Have you seen me? What's going on, Jermaine? I said, ma'am, this isn't gonna work. And she turned around and walked off from me. I said, okay. So I left the pizza on the counter. I go back out to my vehicle and I get my phone and I bring it in here. Bring it inside. And I recorded the whole situation. Y'all, this lady got upset when she realized that I was recording her. She goes, don't record me. And I pointed at the camera on the ceiling, and there's like 5 or 6 of them in there at the front counter. And I was like, why do you care if I record you? You're already being recorded. What's the difference? And no lie, guys, she called the police while I'm standing there. She's like, I'm gonna call the law. Call the law, I ain't done nothing wrong. So she calls the law. And I told her right to her face, I said, ma'am, I just want you to remake my pizza. That's all I want. Just remake my pizza. Her other job is a pedicure parlor in Alabama. Benjamin said, Dad can help me with the lawsuit. I don't even know what I'd sue for, man. $8 worth of pizza. So I told her, so she said I was harassing her. I said, ma'am, I said, can we fix this? She said, I'm going to tell you what I already told you. I'm telling you to call corporate. I said, ma'am, I said, why would I want to call corporate? Y'all the one that's made the pizza. And I kid you not, she actually said, I didn't make that pizza. Then who made it? Where did it come from? Because I'm in the Little Caesars building with a Little Caesars pizza in a Little Caesars box. I didn't want it. The rest of the staff was standing around there looking at her like she was crazy. The lady next to me over here in line was just stunned. She's over there looking at me, looking at her, looking at me, looking at the pizza, looking at her. And she's like, that pizza's not right. And I said, I know. While this lady is on the phone with the police, she's lying to the police, telling them that I cussed her. Now, I'm very careful about when I use my profane language. And I don't use it in public. She's like, he's in here harassing me and cussing me. I said, ma'am, I ain't cussed you not one time. I ain't even been rude. And she said, well, you're being arrogant. I said, ma'am, I'm not being anything except a person who's trying to launch and complain about a product I bought. Told me to leave the store. I said, okay. So I stood outside and waited for the police to show up. I recorded the whole thing. I already tagged Little Caesars on it on Twitter. So we're going to see what happens. I'll keep y'all in the loop on that. But the police showed up, and you should have seen their look on their faces. They're like, All this over a pizza? I said, yep. Yep. I got the law called on me because my pizza was wrong. So how's your Saturday? I thought it was supposed to be the customers that were unreasonable. If the lady just would have told me, sir, sorry about your pizza. We are using some new dough, but I can clearly see, because I made it through the 3rd grade, that this shape is not this shape. It ain't even close. We'll remake your pizza. How hard is it to put dough in a square pan and send it through the oven? What in the world? And if y'all can see everything that goes on at Little Caesars, they take the dough, they roll it out. I got it on Facebook, Benjamin. I'll send me an email, and I'll tag you the video on Facebook so I don't have to send that whole thing again, because it's like 15 minutes long. So anyway, that was exciting. Yeah. So, well, I guess at some point we ought to talk about college football. Okay, so let's see. I've got a Big Dog Brett Facebook. You should be able to hit me up on there. All right, let me get myself back together here. You're so dad blame mad. As Uncle Lou would say, I'm so mad I'm drooling. I was pretty upset last night. That aggravated me. Anyway, so I've been sitting around thinking about the college football playoffs, and everybody's kind of got the same group in there. Football time. And obviously everybody's saying Clemson. Getting the Alabama thing. What's going on, Ball Bigfoot? We're getting Georgia. What's up, Valley? We're getting Ohio State, some Oklahoma Sooners. And that's all well and good. Everybody can talk about those. What I really wanted to talk about was the teams that kind of had an outside shot at making the college football playoff. Not getting to a championship game, but getting to the SEC play, get into a playoff game. So, my thoughts, I think Michigan has an outside shot. I don't think Notre Dame does. I think Texas has an outside shot. But I think there are 3 teams in the SEC West that legitimately have a chance, or I think they have a chance, at making the college football playoffs. Now, that would be Texas A&M, Nebraska, LSU, yeah, Camel Shark, you're right, Texas A&M, LSU, and Alabama. Now, it's possible, not necessarily likely, but it's possible that Texas A&M has the best shot. Now, Alabama's offense is absolutely loaded. That's not the problem. The problem is that it's difficult to run through that category, that West, the way it's set up right now, and be undefeated. I think it's possible that Alabama could be undefeated when they get to the SEC championship. It's also possible they could lose to Texas A&M. It's also possible they could lose to LSU. My big concern for LSU is that LSU had blame flies out here this morning, dude. My problem with LSU is that Orgeron is trying to change his offense a little bit. He's trying to go to a spread, which is weird. I think if Ohio State can run their division, I'm pretty sure they'll get a shot this year unless something crazy happens in one of the other 2 conferences. That besides Clemson's going to get in. They should steamroll that whole freaking schedule. If they lose to somebody else and that somebody else happens to go undefeated, that'd be interesting. LSU QB is unrated. You're talking about Burrows? Yeah, I think he's underrated for sure. Yeah, that guy can play. Um, he doesn't get very much attention, but he can certainly play. So I'm thinking just kind of what I've been looking at. It should end up being Georgia versus Alabama. That's highly likely. Now, I don't think that the talent gap between, I don't think the talent gap in the East is as close as the talent gap in the West. Alabama is head and shoulders above every other team there, but great teams lose to good teams all the time. It can happen. I think the only team in the East that's going to give Georgia any kind of competition is probably going to be Florida. Florida can beat Georgia, but it's also possible that Florida could lose to anybody else in the conference. It just is. I mean, hell, they lost to Kentucky last year. Big problem for the Suckeyes is no Urban, and Justin Fields will get tested heavily in big games. He has to hold his own, and it's going to be a problem for him. Here's one of the big things that kind of, at least in my opinion, validates what I was saying about Justin Fields. Justin Fields was not going to take the job away from Jake Fromm. Had nothing to do with anything other than his ability as a quarterback. It wasn't that Jake Fromm's on the big stage and he did this and he did that. No, sir. It was that Jake Fromm was a better quarterback than Justin Fields. Take it easy, Not Just Rocks. Watch out for Mizzou now. They will be a big sleeper team. I thought they had a bowl ban. I didn't think they could compete in after season events. Somebody check on that for me. I thought they had a bowl ban. Jake Fromm was on Hollywood. What? The lighting out here is terrible today. It's my fault, really. See if I can fix it. That's even better. But when it comes down to it, there we go. What's going on, Jonathan? So Justin Fields goes to Ohio State, transfers away from Georgia. My only problem with that whole thing was that Justin Fields, they burned his red shirt. Yes, under an appeal, but that can be a spoiler. Yes, but it's highly unlikely that they'll get that back. So Justin Fields leaves Georgia. I was a little upset that they burned his red shirt because we are talking about a young man who is trying to have an NFL career. I support him in that aspect, just like I support any player at any school, even Auburn. I don't support the team, but I will support a player. They burned his red shirt, and whether or not the kid wanted to play or didn't want to play, and they made him play, however you want to say it. Once he got that 4-game mark, he should have backed off, just like Kelly Bryant did. Realized another guy was going to have that job. He's like, nope, I'm going to transfer. This isn't working out. If you were going to win the job, you'd have won it by then. You weren't going to amazingly show up and get that job all of a sudden from that guy. It wasn't going to happen. So because of that, you end up in a situation where you have one less year to play and you really had no meaningful playing time. How much do I think George Pickens will play this season? He'll probably play quite a bit. I don't know if he'll start, but he might even start at some point. Georgia didn't know how to use Fields. That offense wasn't built for him. Well, some people could say that they could say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. They say that the offense wasn't built for Jalen Hurts, Tua. But Tua came in and he does just fine. They didn't completely restructure that offense for him. That offense was built around a run game. He came in there and still won the job. So it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say that's okay. I don't think Georgia wasted an opportunity with him. If you've got and this is just the way that I explain things, if you got a race car that's finishing in second place, You don't go in there and completely rebuild the engine. You got something that works, stay with it. Alabama did Hurts wrong? Maybe. The guy was, what, 24-2 when they changed him out? Hard to say. But Justin Fields going to Oklahoma, going to Ohio State, he runs off Tate Martell. Tate Martell was talking a whole bunch of trash before Justin got there. So scared of the guy that he transferred to Miami. And then Justin Fields, even though the last year's starting quarterback left, Justin Fields still has not won that job. And it's very reminiscent of him and Jake Fromm at Georgia. Now, is that because that system up there is not built for him? No, that system up there is pretty much tailor-made for him. Tate isn't even going to start at Miami. Well, we'll see. I don't know if he is or not either, but we'll see. But, I mean, to have a guy who, I think that whole play scheme that he has up there at Ohio is exactly what he ran in high school. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. To me, Justin Fields has had an opportunity to develop his skills over the course of a year to the point where he became the starter, at least over another player who he should be able to beat out. Keep in mind that when I say Justin Fields should be able to do these things, I'm basing that off of the fact that he is the highest recruited player Georgia has ever gotten. Highest ever. And Georgia's had a lot of 5 stars. So let that sink in for a minute. This guy's super, super, super high rated by everybody. But he can't win the starting job at 2 schools? No, he doesn't have to sit out a year. He filed for a waiver from the NCAA, and he got some big hotshot attorney that does that all the time and is known for getting waivers for players, and he got to play. I'm okay with it. I don't mind the guy getting to play. I just think that if he's going to jump out there, and try to win that starting job, he's got to do better. He's 13. Watch his games he's played, and he's good. I have to look that guy up. I haven't looked him up yet. All right, guys. So if you've made it this far in the video, do me a favor. Hit the like, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the beginning of the season. And unless something changes pretty quick, that's probably not going to happen. But so I need you guys' help as much as I can to try and get us there. Do I think Georgia Tech will have a winning record this season? I think they will probably have a winning record this season just because a lot of the teams they play are not hard teams. They should have a winning record. They're obviously going to have a loss to Clemson, and they're probably going to have a loss to Virginia. But there's some teams on there they should be able to beat. That new coach is changing that offense, and he's probably going to go with something fairly simple and easy to run this first year because he's having to make a transition with players that were recruited to run the triple option versus players that were that he's trying to coach in the new positions, wide receiver, traditional style format. Yeah, Virginia's going to be pretty good this year. So they should be able to pull out a winning record. I mean, they should be able to go 7-5, but we'll see. Georgia has that big recruiting cookout today. Yeah. Kylie Ringo, it looks like he's going to be coming to Georgia. I think he's making his announcement on Monday at 8 p.m. So you guys may want to tune in for that. I'm going to I'll probably make a short video for that. Syracuse is a weird team, man. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get with them. One of the things I do want to throw out there, though, is Clemson last year had a couple of really close calls. And if you go back and look at the schedule, you'll see what I'm talking about. I would not be surprised if they lose a regular season game. I do not expect them to. But there were some issues with consistency earlier in the year. Not saying Georgia's any better. Obviously, Georgia lost to LSU. So there was some problems with some consistency throughout the year at Clemson. So it is possible to catch them off guard. Nevertheless, they are the national champs, so hats off to those guys for that. But there is some opportunity there for some other teams if they can catch Clemson napping. So Syracuse came the closest to beating Clemson. They did, but the stats for the South Carolina Clemson game were insane. They came very close to losing to Texas A&M, and that should give you an idea how good Texas A&M is. Now you can't do the A's greater than B, B's greater than C, so therefore C must be greater than A. That doesn't apply in college football. If you look at Georgia, LSU, Florida, it's a prime example. Georgia lost to LSU, or Georgia beat Florida, Florida beat LSU, LSU beat Georgia. So who's better? Who knows? South Carolina will be a joke again. They don't have depth at all. They do not have a lot of depth, but this is the most wins that this stat, by the way, is stolen completely from Uncle Lou. This is the first. Well, Will Muschamp has the most wins in the first 3 seasons of any South Carolina coach ever, and that includes Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier. And those guys are legendary. So think about that now. I don't know what the recruiting was like back then. I don't know what the star players they had, or you know what they had there, but yeah. What hurt Georgia with LSU? We just come out there and played flat, just really flat. I'm honestly not going to say any team now will be in the playoffs. Also can happen on any given Saturday. It's true. You're putting too much stock in the bowl ban having a negative implications. So let's talk about Mizzou for a minute. Mizzou joined the SEC within the past 10 years. They've had a couple. I think they've won the SEC a couple of times. They've had some good teams here and there, but recently, if I'm not mistaken, their recruiting's down. Whenever they play quality ranked opponents, they struggle. Now they do pretty good against everybody else, and they kind of try to run the ball against everybody else. This is my opinion, and they seem to do okay. But once they actually play a defense that's got a pretty good defensive line and some pretty decent linebackers, they seem to struggle. Well, why's my chat not keeping up again? Now, what does that tell you? If Muschamp has the best record after 3 years, that means South Carolina. True. South Carolina is an SEC team, and I love to rag on those guys. I don't have a real raw place with those. Mizzou owns Florida and Tennessee. But doesn't everybody, Salty Dog? Out of Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, who had the best backup quarterback? Last year? I mean, I guess you'd probably have to say Alabama, but Georgia's backup quarterback, has right now. I haven't seen anything for the backup quarterback at Alabama, so I can't make a judgment there. I haven't seen anything out of the backup quarterback for Clemson. I will say that Georgia has Stetson Bennett, and we have DeJuan Mathis. And I think Carson Beck's coming along shortly. And all of those guys are phenomenal quarterbacks. Watching Stetson Bennett throw that ball around on G-Day was extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. You're gonna have to reiterate that one for me, Salty Dog, because it doesn't make any sense when I read it, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Tennessee is the only team in the East that Georgia does not won, but will this year. I think you meant own. Is Georgia? Mathis isn't bad either. Somebody look this up for me real quick. Mac Jones. That's right. What is Georgia's record against Tennessee all the time? I know one of you guys can look that up real easy. It's nice out here today, guys. I got a slight breeze. Some clear, pretty blue sky today. Just gorgeous out. Wouldn't sleep on Oregon either. Tied. So, yeah. Keep in mind, if it wasn't for that stupid Hail Mary pass they got lucky on, we'd be winning that. Clemson backup quarterback has one victory up under his belt, and that victory was against Syracuse. Yeah, you're right. I think did Trevor Lawrence get hurt in that game? Can't remember. So it's almost impossible to keep up with all these facts, these stats. We're tied with Tennessee, and I remember records. Can't remember the records yet. I think the point deficit is kind of leans towards Georgia, though. I think Georgia scored more points overall, but that's just a guess. Tennessee could be a factor this year, believe it or not. They might sneak up on a few teams. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee catches Florida napping. And that's because, and just hear me out, Jeremy Pruitt, UGA, Mr. Chaney, UGA. And even in years where those two guys were on the team with Mark Richt, I believe they were, didn't necessarily have the greatest offensive line. And they were still able to run the ball pretty well. And it seems to be something that Florida is going to have problems with. So it's quite possible that Tennessee could come in second place. So we'll see what happens. But as far as the college football playoff goes, I think Clemson will be in. I think Georgia will be in. I think Alabama will be in. I think both of those teams should be undefeated when they get to the SEC championship. And I think whichever team loses that will still get in, especially if that team's Alabama. That leaves a fistfight spot between Oklahoma and Ohio. And I think that Oklahoma would soundly and resoundingly beat Ohio State. And therefore, I think Oklahoma would be in. But we'll see what happens. Of course, it depends on the records. Other than Georgia games, what do you guys think is going to be the most exciting game in the early season? I'm not talking about championship games. I'm not talking about division games or division championship games. I'm talking about regular season games. Not a Georgia game. South Carolina does have a dad blame hard schedule, but so does Auburn. He said Oklahoma. C-Dog West says LSU versus Alabama. Yes, that's going to be a great game. Oklahoma's defense is about as good as that pizza girl. I hope their defense is better than that. Georgia has roughest schedule. Man, our schedule is not rough at all this year. Not at all. LSU versus Texas, and Florida versus Miami. So you guys kind of hit on the good ones here. I also want to see the Texas A&M LSU game. I want to see the Texas A&M Alabama game. I want to see the Syracuse Clemson game. I want to see, and believe it or not, I actually want to watch the Georgia Tech, a couple of their games to see what that new offense looks like. We're gonna get to play them at some point, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. North Texas versus Abilene Christian. Doesn't Oregon play someone good their first game? I don't remember. I think they do, though. I think you're right. Is it Auburn? Really? Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is Auburn. Man, how did I forget that one? So there's going to be some really good college football games the very first week. I think we got about 31 days, something like that left, maybe a little more, because I can't count. Made it to the third grade, but I know what a circle is. It's it's going to be an interesting first couple of weeks. I do want to watch that first FSU game too, and I want to see if they're gonna tag out Willie Taggart at the end of this year. I don't think he's going to be around much longer. Want to see the Texas A&M Texas rivalry renewed. Yeah, that would be nice. Seems like every year I end up learning more and more about college football. It's almost impossible not to, especially now with having the channel. And but there's a lot of fans on here of other teams, and I like seeing the information they put out. Florida versus Miami. Good Lord, I want to see that. Willie got a sloppy team from Jimbo. I think Jimbo knew he was leaving. He was telling those players, hey, I'm going to be changing teams. Y'all hold on a minute. Wisconsin versus UCF. Yeah. Hadn't thought about that one. I'll have to look that one up. Malzahn is working out with players this year to inspire the team. What's he working out, man? That walking Muppet. Less than 30 days till Miami beats Florida. If Miami beats Florida, I'll be pretty excited about that. I'll be pretty excited, especially with all that smack talking that Florida's done in the offseason. Good night. Good night. My man Zimmer said he's been working Saturdays now, making that money. Anytime, man. Glad to help out. It always surprises me, honestly, that I make these videos and, I'll have 20 people on here, or, sometimes 10, sometimes 5, sometimes, 25. And then in the next couple of days, people watch it. And it always just kind of surprises me. Because all that Gator talk, that's what I said. Yeah, man. Duke versus Bama. If it was basketball. Whew. Auburn has a habit of having good years when they have a down year. Well, the thing about Auburn is that they've got to have a good running back for their team to be any good. You can go look at the stats on there. If they don't have a running back that can carry that team, they don't do worth crap. Trauma cases on Saturdays is rough. I've been watching through, but not live. Who is my sleeper in the SEC? If you can call them a sleeper, I'd say Texas A&M. I think they're built the right way. They're tall, they're long, they're fast. I really think Auburn could do more with the talent they have. They've got a wide receiver on that team that can outrun anybody in pretty much in the SEC, and they can't seem to get that guy the ball, so I don't know. Jonathan says Missouri. Missouri is a sleeper, I think, for the East. Nah. They got 40-year-old they got 40-year-old dudes that they're renting out the dorms to up there to try to keep that campus open. A&M and Clemson. There's so much good stuff in football this year, man. So much good stuff in football. Like this is probably going to be, I'm going to end up making more videos this year by far than I made last year, because I'm going to do so many fan reaction videos just because there's going to be all these games that I want to watch. I can promise you that this year I'm going to be watching Texas, and every game they lose, I'm going to make sure that I make a video on that. Because there's some Texas fans, man, that just come out of the woodwork after that last win they had against us. So I'm gonna make sure I pour the salt on them. They have one good year in a decade, and they think that they're NFL football team. So I have to knock them down a peg or three. It's going to be a nerve-wracking season. It always is. It's one of the things I like about the football is that it's one of the things I really, really like about football is that every game matters. I'm not saying every game don't matter in other sports, but it just seems like it matters so much more in college football. I was watching the Braves the other night, bottom of the ninth. They were down by 2. They got a run. They had base runners and some of their best guys up at bat, and pissed it away. Excuse my language. Peed it away. Not sure if you heard, but according to Texas, and only Texas, apparently they're back. Yeah, I may have heard that. A&M coming to Athens late in the season should be a good one. It is. It's going to be a real good one. The few friends that are Texas Longhorn students. It's weird, man. So the good night. The downside, and there is a downside to having a team like Georgia that is competitive, that the games are highly watched. Lost last night. Last night the Braves beat the Phillies 9-2. Yeah, but didn't they lose to somebody the other day like 14-3 or something ridiculous? I don't know, man. Baseball is just weird, the way it goes sometimes. You think they released Derek Mason on Dan Mullet, aka Uncle Eddie, this year, no holding back on the sidelines? I don't know, man. I think Dan Mullet's dug himself a grave over there. Ready to see some O-line domination by the Dogs, and there will be. That O-line is ferocious. One of the downsides to having a football team that does pretty well is that football team, the price of the tickets go through the roof. I saw two tickets as the end zone, like behind the end zone, looking down the field, about halfway up for $1,400. Man, that's a lot of money. And that's a non-conference, non-playoff home game. Yeah. Backup quarterback, Stetson Bennett. He knows the system better than DeJuan Mathis does. DeJuan Mathis will continue to learn behind Stetson Bennett and Jake Fromm until next year. But it's possible, and I don't want it to happen, but it's possible Jake Fromm could go to the draft at the end of this year, and he might not. Because he's getting highly touted by NFL scouts, saying that fundamentally he's one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. It's not me saying it. That's their talent scouts saying it. Stanford versus Washington. Never been a Stanford fan. It's a tree on the helmet, just weird. Bevo wins the Natty for most delicious mask. Risky brisket. I'm gonna be smoking some Boston butt today, by the way, just so you guys know. Had them on sale down at the Pig and Wig. Jake Fromm says he wants to wear the black jersey at least one time. Is that what he said, Dwayne? Is that what he said? So for those of you in the channel who don't know this, and I'm probably most of you do, the black jersey has really not been kind to us. We've won some games with it, but we've lost some games too. Herb Street talks very highly of Jake. He was on the radio yesterday. I missed that somehow. I'll have to look that up. But I like the look of the black jersey, but I think that we should do it like we did it that one year where we play like, I think it was Louisiana West Monroe or something, when we wore the black jersey for that game. We knew we was going to win that game. And the fans wanted to see the black jersey, the blackout thing. It's a cool idea, but I also think it can affect the rhythm of the team. They're used to seeing their guys in red jerseys or white jerseys, and it changes things. So, beat Auburn in the black jerseys, yeah. We also lost to Alabama at home in the black jerseys too. I remember that. So to me, it's one of those things where, you know, I think I like the look of it, but I don't want to play it. I don't want to make that change in big games. I want that to stay. Who hasn't lost Alabama in a black jersey, or pretty much any color jersey? I like the look of the jersey, but they're claiming the Notre Dame will be a black jersey game. Who's saying that, Salty? Clemson released new uniforms that are black jerseys back in April. There was some talk. Hey, what's going on, VT Dub? There was some talk at some point it was kind of put out there, and I don't think necessarily put out there in a very conspicuous way. I know I posted it in a video a while back about the black jerseys, Dog Nation. I'll have to look that up. I listen to Dog Nation, but the thing that bothers me about Brandon Adams is it's almost like listening to a soap opera, the way he tells a story. He doesn't really jump feet first into a project. He says a lot of comments like, well, you know, what possibly may have happened and what could have happened. Now, I'm not saying that happened, but what could have happened is if this guy heard that and misinterpreted it this way, then he possibly could have understood this, and that would have meant maybe that. It's like, dude, just say it. Just stopping by at work today. Ringo, Birch, Washington, etc. on campus today. Go Dogs. Yeah, that would be nice. So I'd like to see. I'm glad that those guys are at UGA today with that cookout. I think that's going to have a lot of camaraderie. I think that's going to get a lot of guys, rubbing elbows and they kind of talking. One of those guys is heavily leaning towards Georgia. It's possible they could drag the other ones in with them. Hey, Washington is starting that Georgia transfer quarterback. Are you talking about Jacob Eason? Remember Georgia wearing black jerseys, and that's what it was, UL Lafayette in 2016. Yeah. But if we wear the black jerseys in that game, that'd be cool against Notre Dame. That'd be cool. I just want to make sure that the guys are comfortable with it. They're practiced with it. If they're practiced with it, then great. If not, whatever. We gotta win that game. That's an important game to a lot of people. That's a very important game. The last thing I want to do is lose that game. Milton committing to the Dogs Monday. What's that you say? Milton committing? Book it. So seeing this upcoming season, I think it's going to be an amazing season. I think we got the right coach in place. I think we got the right players in place. It's going to be really interesting. Georgia will win by at least 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame. Notre Dame does have some talent on that team. Don't let it fool you. Notre Dame does have some talent on that team. But it's also possible that they drop the ball. I think Sanford Stadium is going to be a huge, huge factor. I think that stadium is going to be absolutely sold out. I think it's going to be deafening. They may have a good defensive line, but they have no answer for DeAndre Swift. They have no answer for Brian Herrien. They have no answer for Zamir White, and they have no answer for James Cook. Georgia could beat ND on a pitch black field at night with no lights on. I like Sarah. Clemson football wears all purple uniforms from Military Appreciation Day once a year. And I'm cool with that, man. I like that they do that. I think Oregon does something very similar, too. Obviously, they change uniforms all the time. They got a big sponsor in Adidas or Reebok or somebody sponsors them. Under Armour, I think it is. Big-time recruiting targets will be at that game, no doubt. Absolutely. And if Georgia wasn't in the hunt for these guys, you wouldn't see them show up to those games. Kirby said he didn't want players making too much of the black jerseys. And that's smart as a coach. You don't want them buying into that. You don't want them thinking that they got Michael Jordan's secret juice, the secret water or whatever it is from Space Jam, makes them play better. He wants them to go out there and learn the fundamentals. Easton was not that great of a quarterback, to be honest. Better than what we had when he joined, but not a great quarterback. When he got hurt from and in, you can see what difference between night and day. Absolutely. So let's roll the tape back a little bit, talking about the Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason controversy. Do me a favor, hit thumbs up if you made it this far. If you haven't already, I really appreciate it, guys. It helps the channel, moves it up. It's tax deductible, all that great stuff. Reebok is disqualified from football. I don't know. Maybe. Cyrus says he has a Jake Fromm blackout jersey. That's pretty cool. I got old cheap Walmart jersey. Thanks, Cyrus. So here's what you saw from Jacob Eason, and this is just my opinion. Burned all my Nike stuff and threw it away. We had a lot of people that felt that way around here too. The Jacob Eason controversy kind of went like this. Started out with Jacob Eason was supposed to be the next quarterback that was going to carry us to where we needed to go. Guy built a lot like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford was having a lot of success. And then he stepped in, and it seemed like every time he would throw the ball downfield, he could not hit a guy in stride. He would overthrow him every time. And so his freshman year, we kind of thought he'll grow out of that. Uncle Lou thought Jacob Eason was the greatest. Jacob Eason Christ. He couldn't hit a guy in stride. He'd overthrow him every time. We thought he would outgrow it. He come back his sophomore year. Goes out on the field. The second play. It's a go route. Drops back. Checks coverage. And at that particular moment, me and my cousin were, I think it was at G-Day, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Me and my cousin both went. When I saw that, I knew he hadn't improved at all. It pains me that Bama wears Nike uniforms. That's all that politics stuff, man. I get where some people come from on that, but I try to stay out of the politics. The Jacob Eason come out there really didn't look like he had progressed. It really did not look like he had taken that next big step forward that I felt he needed to take in order to make me confident that he was going to be our guy. He was going to be our quarterback. Hang on one second. I'm back. I had to turn the fan. It was getting pretty hot over here. So, watching Jacob Eason go out there and not be able to really make that adjustment, increase his skill set, whatever you want to call it, it was really kind of a downer. And when he got hurt in that game, I went, everybody, even though we'd never really seen Jake Fromm play, we knew he was a true freshman quarterback. Everybody just drew a breath, and they were like, oh, snap. And then they put Jake Fromm in. And then Jake Fromm started to run that offense, at least in my opinion, the way it should be ran. And I was looking at my wife, and I'm like, you see this, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, this is a freshman. What? It's a freshman. What the? Why couldn't Jacob Eason? I don't know why Jacob Eason couldn't do that. But he clearly can't. And that's why Jacob Eason never got the job back. Are you starting to get concerned about Eric Gilbert's second time he has chosen not to come to a big recruiting event at Georgia? I think Gilbert has said a number of times that he's a Georgia fan. I don't know if it's one of those things where he's just he's so confident in his position that he's just not interested in going. He may have other stuff going on in the summer that he wants to do. So who knows? Oh, Eason by far has a stronger arm. By far. That guy can sling a football. There was one game, and I think it was against Tennessee. I think we were like on the 20-yard line on the opposite end of the field, and he just rocketed that thing down to about the 5 on the other side of the field, and I was just stunned. I said, good night. And, I mean, it really looked like he could have threw it a lot further. It looked like he threw it with ease. Chris Peterson will turn Eason into gold. Maybe. I mean, you can only coach a guy so much. I mean, you can coach me all you want. I'm never going to be able to dunk a 10-foot goal. It ain't going to happen. it's just not. I'm not made for that. I can be the best coach in the world, but if I can't do it, I just can't do it. So hopefully they'll get him turned out. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up in the pros. He may go after this year. He may not. Who knows? But yeah. Carson Beck has the football IQ like John, but also has his arm developing like Matt Stafford. It's entirely possible that he could do that. It's entirely possible that Carson Beck could come in and be could be the next Heisman Trophy candidate and next Heisman Trophy winner. When I was watching his videos, Carson Beck when he would throw a ball that he used to throw to Ridley against Tennessee to give us a lead near the end was beautiful. It was. The guy had some talent. I'm just saying, he's always overthrowing people. But let me back up to Carson Beck. When I watched his highlight video, the guy threw the ball, and I'm like, he's not throwing that ball to that guy. And he threw the ball to that guy, and I'm like, wow, how did he get that in there? That's not going to happen again. This video goes on for I want to say 5 or 6 minutes, and it's pretty quick clips. And you see him time and time again fitting a ball into a place where he had no business being able to do that, but he was doing it. The first couple of times I watched him throw it, I'm like, he's going to get picked off like crazy, and it never happened. And I went, wow. And it reminded me of Tom Brady. Tom Brady can fit balls into places that they shouldn't go. Guys catch them all day, every day. And watching him do that in high school was dad-blame impressive. Anyone notice that Bama isn't talking about backup QBs? If Fromm goes down, we are not prepared. Season could end early. No. And James, I'll tell you why. Georgia has proven time and time again that the run game is enough to sustain us. If Jake Fromm goes down, I would certainly question our strength as far as being able to run for a national title. But what I would remind you is that there's been plenty of freshman quarterbacks that have taken teams to the national championship and won them. As a matter of fact, Tua was one of them. Trevor Lawrence was the other one. So Jake Fromm was there, almost won it. So don't count these freshmen out. They can certainly step in, and they're hungry. So those guys certainly have the possibility of being able to step in there and win the job. This is the most talent we have had in a while. I don't think I can name a team where we had more talent than we have now. I don't even think the 2004 team was more talent than we have now. This was, if we go back to when Kirby Smart started, I said it was going to probably take us a good 3, 4 years to be able to compete for a national championship. Sarah says, let's all pray for player safety no matter the team that we play for. I agree with that. I don't ever want to see kids injured. Only Auburn, Texas A&M, and Bama would be tough games to win if Fromm goes down. Most likely true as well. So the team that we have now is not like Georgia is not in a position like it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. 5, 6, 7 years ago, Georgia could not afford to lose any player at any position. Now, it's still rough when that happens, but before it was just dramatic fall off. DSGB, I have no idea, sir. I have no idea. Now if a guy falls off, we just reload and move on. I thought that it was going to be this year or the next year. Fromm is a tough quarterback, not like Tua. Kid is tough. I've never seen him limp, and he's been popped a few times. I've never seen that guy fall down and not be able to get back up. Never seen any of that. Hope I never see that, but he is a pretty tough kid. I don't know that I would say Tua is not tough. I don't know enough about that situation, but I do know he seemed to be injured quite a bit last year. I think Tua is one of the backup QBs at Bama. He might be second string. He may be. But I think with the receivers that Alabama has, Jerry Jeudy and Waddell and all those guys, those type of caliber of players, I don't think you need an outstanding quarterback. I think you just have to get it in the zip code of those guys, and they're going to pull it down. Same thing with Clemson. I really thought that this year was probably going to be the first year that we could legitimately say that we had a caliber of team to be looking forward to. Obviously, the previous years have been really good as well. So I thought it would take at least this long, and now we're here. So Georgia seems to be back on track. Don't underestimate Stetson Bennett, getting him back with shoes. The wonderful thing about Stetson Bennett is that if you watch that guy's G-Day tape, he was on point. That guy was hitting all his passes. He also knows the system too, and he's experienced. I like having Stetson Bennett as a reserve. If we need him, I feel pretty confident that he could step in there and he could run a game. Absolutely. Fromm deserves a good year. The young man has proven himself to be of good character. One of the things that I like specifically about Georgia and Alabama is that very rarely do you see any of those players say anything before a game. It's always, we'll talk after the game. We'll let our helmets do the talking. I mean, that's just the way that both Georgia and Alabama has been. UGA fall camp is August 1st. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you looking that up. Aunt Lou has you in timeout for being politically correct. Her way or the highway, Brett. Good morning, Bruce. Well, that's his channel, man. Had to play by his rules. I played football once in high school and before high school, but decided to play soccer. There's a lot of people that do that. Soccer's a cool sport. I'm starting to learn more about it. It's interesting. I will say that one of the things that I like about soccer is the amount of emotion. Stacy Moreland said, I agree, buddy. Keep your mouth shut till you back it up. The one thing I like about soccer is that when they score a goal, it is absolutely pure emotion. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. Jake is the best quarterback in the SEC. Tua is overrated. Tua has a national championship. Jake does not. Not necessarily Jake's fault. But you got to say at this point, it's hard to say he's overrated if he's winning a national championship ring. I think Tua has played in, 2 national championship games now? So, the good news is I think Georgia can compete on that stage. I think anybody who's reasonable and objective can say Georgia can compete on that stage. I think it's just a matter of doing it. It takes 2 QBs to beat Fromm. I think you're hinting back towards what I've been saying for a while, and what Kirby Smart's been saying as well, is that, how do you beat Alabama? And he's like, well, the first thing you got to do is get rid of their backup quarterback. So I think this year Georgia's got a really good shot. I think it's going to be difficult to beat Georgia this year. It took a backup quarterback both times. Bruce says Aunt Lou is way overrated. Well, okay, a little overrated. He does a good job, man. That's a full-time job for him, and he's got a lot of followers, and he's controversial. He's controversial on purpose. His personality on his channel kind of forces him to be a certain way, whether he really kind of wants to or not. Now, I'm not saying he would ever fake anything, but whenever you've got a guy whose personality is that high profile, he's going to be abrasive. That's that channel. That's the nature of that game. But as far as all the interactions I've had with him, he's been super nice to me. He's I've reached out to him a couple times. He's never not responded. He's always been real cordial with me. I don't know. If you've got a rub with Uncle Lou, send him an email. Tell him you want to work it out. Maybe you have a personality clash. Maybe the two of you guys are both great guys or great girls or whatever, and your personalities just don't line up. It happens. I hope Zeus stays healthy this year. Me too. Tua's brother rumored to be better since he came to Bama. No one is saying that. The only reason I stopped following Uncle Lou is because he is way too hard on Fromm. I think Uncle Lou is a lot like the rest of us that have been Georgia fans for a long time, and not saying anybody on here isn't just as much of a fan as I am. You probably are. Don't forget your glasses are on the hood of that truck. Oh, I know. I probably need to get them off there because now the sunlight's on there. It might start damaging them. Thank you. And that thing over there is my other setup that I was using to hold the camera. I got a different one now. I was trying out in the morning to see which one I liked the most. Did you know Clemson football hasn't lost to Wake Forest since 07, 10 straight wins over Wake? I did not know that. Tua was not left-handed. His dad taught him how to throw left-handed. That's crazy. Bruce said VTW and me. What are you talking about, Bruce? I must have missed your other chat and it's strolling too fast for me to roll back to get it. Best QB in UGA history. David Green? The two new coordinators, which side of the ball do you think will be better, defense or offense? Offense. I think the offense will be dramatically better. Would be nice to get Ringo and Birch. Hold on, I want to read that one. Ringo and Birch, all of them really, fingers crossed. Ringo and Birch will be the two that we really need. Please don't say, no, I'm not going to say Buck Blue. No. So, man made me lose my train of thought. Good night. We get Milton on Monday. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on that. I would bet on that. Birch and Ringo is at the cookout today. Oh, yeah. And they've already said that wherever one goes, that's where the other one plans to go. So, I mean, I would expect to see both of those guys. I would expect to see Milton come along. So you're going to see 3 5-stars there. And that might be enough to go ahead and convince Gilbert to pull the trigger. We'll see what happens. If they do that, UGA should just about rocket into first place. We may still be behind Clemson, but we'll take a look at that time. Nobody's bringing up who they're worried about losing this year. Imagine if there were not paycheck games. Buck Blue was a game manager. He was. Eric Zaire doesn't get the credit he deserves. Him, Hurst, or Hastings were UGA's best quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. They were really good together. That was a well-oiled machine. You don't really. One of the big problems we have now, which is why I believe we have a new offensive coordinator, is because you can't go, man, you really got to watch out for Georgia's wide receivers, man. You really got to watch out for those guys. And to be fair, every single year, you always end up with somebody saying, man, why don't we throw the ball to the tight ends more? And then we start throwing to the tight ends. Well, why aren't we throwing to the wide receivers? And we throw to the wide receivers. Well, why are we using the running backs more and throwing to the running back? I mean, it's just what you run into. UGA is the best quarterback in UGA history. Maybe. I've got an autographed hat by the guy. I've got an autographed picture by the guy. Got a picture with him. But I really wish he could have went on and done something impressive in pro. But he's just not built for that, I guess. Did you see Georgia not even getting on the RBU list? Yeah, I saw that, and I don't, and that's fine. That's fine with me. If you want to say UGA is not RBU, that's fine. Continue to underestimate us. That's exactly what I want. You ever seen that movie Die Hard? It's like, that's how you're going to beat them, John. They're going to keep underestimating you. And that's fine. Whew. But if you're looking at this coming up season, there's a lot of great games. Maybe this coming up Saturday, I'll talk about those games specifically and kind of get into who, what, how, and where. Linebacker U, though. I still don't know how we got that title, but maybe Todd's ball. All right, guys. Well, do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe, share, thumbs up, all that stuff. Please share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of those other social media pages that I'm too old to know about. Put that on there for me if you would. UGA not being on the list show the credibility of whoever made that list. Don't get me wrong. I completely agree with that statement, and it seems like every year, whether it's somebody at ESPN or somewhere, man, Georgia gets hated on. And this year, as we go along, I'll make videos and show you. But when I see that stuff. Well, guys, we're getting about an hour and 15, hour and 16 into it. My phone's about to die. It's been a good morning so far. I want to tell you guys I really appreciate you jumping on. Thanks so much. I'm going to try and make that Georgia video this week. I was just too busy last week. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. You guys have a great day. God bless. Go Dogs.